Now, one of the biggest diseases in Australia is also one of the least well known. Liam Mannix reports on this silent epidemic.
Most definitely, I think that hepatitis C is an epidemic in Australia.
We estimate about 200 to 220,000 people in Australia infected. That's about 1% of the population.
The number of people being infected with hepatitis C, 600 new infections per year compared to HIV, 50 to 60 new infections per year. The funding, the dollar sign, does not correspond.
Hepatitis C is one of the biggest diseases in Australia today, affecting the lives of almost 1% of the population. It's also one of the most underfunded.
It causes inflammation in the liver. That's the liver gets infiltrated with inflammatory cells, it swells, it progresses onto scarring, there's cell death of the liver cells themselves, and eventually the scarring gets more and more marked.
Hepatitis C is a blood-borne and transmitted disease. It can only be caught by blood contact. That means one of the defining characteristics of hepatitis C is that over 90% of new infections occur amongst injectors of illegal drugs. 5% of all untreated chronic hepatitis C sufferers will die from the disease, which seems low, but considering how many people are infected, that's actually a significant number.
The patient starts to get symptoms of liver insufficiency or liver failure, and there are serious symptoms there. In 60 to 80% roughly of those acute infections, the virus isn't cleared from the body and the person has a persistent infection that lasts for decades usually.
I think that living with a chronic illness is the real impact. Knowing that every day that you're going to have these constant symptoms can wear at you.
Hepatitis C is quite curable. In fact, it's very curable. For most chronic sufferers, a cure requires a simple course of tablets. But according to treatment agencies, only 3% of all sufferers seek treatment, accounting for why the infection and death rates are so high.
Overall, it's about a 66% success rate for treatment for hepatitis C. You know, there's varied pictures on how many people get treatment. It's sort of estimated under 5% in Australia.
The reason for that, according to the Hepatitis C Council, is a lack of funding for awareness campaigns.
It's a challenging because there's not a strong lobbyist group to ensure that, hang on, you can't cut any more funding for hepatitis C because we do not have a lot of money. Majority of transmission occur through sharing injecting drug equipment, and we have seen quite a lot of how the government portray people who use drugs. It's actually they've been demonized through the mainstream media and through the community.
And there was to some extent, a community attitude that people with hepatitis C, they've given it to themselves by injecting, so they didn't get as much help.
I think that why we don't receive funding, I think that given that injecting drug uses is not sort of an acceptable part of society, that we get to lag behind. So there's never been a national campaign where hepatitis C prevention strategy or statistics has been plastered on TV. So I think that's going to be the most effective strategy to raise awareness, and of course that requires funding to do that.
There's a lot of people using drugs one way or the other, illicit or illicit. So I think that's something that is a challenge for our country, Australia, need to actually to confront with.
Liam Mannix, Inside Adelaide.
On January 26th, the Adelaide City Council threw a massive Australia Day celebration. It started off with a parade and ended with a concert at Elder Park, headlined by Australian icon Jessica Mauboy.
People of all colours and backgrounds walked down Pulteney Street on Australia Day to celebrate the one thing they have in common, being Australian. There were 3,500 participants in the parade from more than 100 community groups. Even recent arrivals were made to feel welcome.
Australia so far, I mean, the people are wonderful. I have not met one person that hasn't been exceedingly nice.
Being Australian means different things to different people, so we caught up with a few to find out what it means to them.
To me, being Australian is a great opportunity because in a lot of other countries we don't get the opportunities we do. For example, we get to celebrate great days like this.
Very friendly, all the very friendly circle, and everybody loves each other. And very nice.
As day turned to night, the crowd followed the parade down to Elder Park for a big concert. Australian group Kiss Chasey gave a big performance on the big stage. Even Mike Rand showed up to this event.
It's a fantastic atmosphere tonight as we celebrate Australia Day.
An Australian Idol product, Jess Mowboy, finished the night off with a cracking set.
I really love Adelaide, and like I said, I've been here so many times and performed a lot here, and the weather just turned out so great, and especially on Australia Day, it's just been really great.
Barges floating on the river treated the crowd to an amazing firework finish. Annie Parrots, Inside Adelaide.